Hi, everybody. It's Leslie with the New Mexico Small Business Development Center. I want to welcome everyone today to the webinar. I want to tell you we have public speaker extraordinaire Eric Spellmann, and this is a great topic. He just told me that this is one of his favorite subjects to speak on: micro marketing, fast, easy, and essential online tasks. I want to remind everyone to type your questions just as quickly as possible into the Q&A, because he answers them right away. It goes, he gets to all of them. I will pick up the questions. If you need any assistance, let me know. And with all of that, Eric, take it away.
Okay, thank you, Leslie. I am Eric Spellmann, and if you haven't heard any of my talks before, then let me just say, ask questions. That's what this is about. Do not wait for me to say, are there any questions? Just go up to Q&A and ask your questions away. We're going to be covering a lot. Now, a lot of people, they hear terms like micro marketing, online, and they get nervous that it's going to be a very techy talk. No, this will not be a tech talk. This is for business owners. So it is ground zero. So you're in the right place. And I think you're going to come away with a lot of good ideas that you can immediately implement back at your office. So let's get started. I tell people all the time, in order to understand micro marketing, you need to remember a few key things. Okay. And one is organic ranking is important. Now, when I say ranking, I mean SEO, search engine optimization. In other words, showing up on Google in a way that people can find you. You know, you don't want to be on page 85. Heck, you don't even want to be on page 2. You want to be on page 1 when people search for a product or a service or a, you know, kind of your industry even. You want to make sure that you're showing up. Organic means that you're not paying to do that. Okay, you're not buying an ad. You want to rank organically, naturally, because that's where 90% of the clicks will go, is to those who rank naturally. So keep in mind, I'm not talking about throwing a lot of money at Google to pay for an ad. Okay, that's not what this is about. Organic ranking is still very, very important. Content marketing is also key. Now, content marketing is where you're marketing your text. Now, remember, you've heard me talk about in ranking, how to rank well on Google, that it's all about your text. It's all about your text. It's all about your text. And so content marketing is basically where you are using the text of either a blog or even a transcript of a video or a transcript of a podcast, but you're using the printed text, however you got it, on your website in a way that attracts Google's spider bots. Now, keep in mind what Google does is they're always looking for new content. They're looking for websites that update all the time. You know, if you have a website where you built it maybe a year ago and haven't touched it since, sadly, Google doesn't care. They don't care about you because they consider you outdated. And that's the reason you're not showing up, is because you haven't added anything new. So content marketing is key. You've got to, in all of what we're about to talk about, you've got to remember that the basics are still important. And that means either writing a blog or putting more text on your website. Also remember, Google is the only search engine that matters. Okay, that SE means search engine. It is the only search engine that matters. Forget Bing, forget AOL, forget Yahoo. When it comes to finding things on the internet, all that matters is Google. They have about 97% of the search market right now. And so when trying to figure out, you know, am I showing up for this or showing up for that, you don't need to go to all these different places and search for yourself. Just Google. Now, having said all of that, one of the most important micro marketing, and by the way, by micro marketing, I mean tiny little tasks. You know, it's not a full blown, we're going to take 3 weeks to do this project kind of a deal. Micro marketing is where you do just a whole bunch of little things, but together they add up into a big marketing campaign. Well, one of the little things that I'm going to recommend that you do, and trust me, your counselors will also recommend that you do it, your Small Business Development Center counselors, and that is to make sure that you are registered with Google. Now, what do I mean by registered? I don't mean register like you're a member of Google. I mean, you go in and tell Google that, hey, this is my business. I am the owner, and this is what we do. Think of it as adding on to, say, Google's Maps. Okay. You know how sometimes on Google's Maps, you discover, that business is not really there. It's off by a little bit. And wouldn't you wish you could fix that if the address that Google shows for you is not the address where you are? Well, this is how you can do it. By taking over and control of your business on the Google system, then you can make decisions for your business on the Google system. And the way to do that is to start by going to GYBO. GYBO, which is short for Get Your Business Online. Okay. GYBO.com is a Google platform, and it allows you to go and register your business so that Google knows who you are. This is how Google, if you've ever done a search on Google and you see a business's hours come up, like they're open from this hour to that hour, or pictures of the business, and you're wondering, how is Google doing that? Well, it's because their owner went in and registered their business with Google so that it does know that. It's kind of like a glorified white pages. If you remember the old yellow pages, it's a glorified, the business, or I guess that would be the blue pages back then, the business listings, except this costs you nothing, zero. Sadly, there will be some people, and we talked about this when I discussed online scams. Sadly, there will be people who call you up and claim to be from Google, and for a small price, they will help get you into the system. No. That is a scam. So we're talking about doing it yourself or getting some help from your SBDC counselors. And that's why I want to bring this up. You see, as part of the process, Google wants to know, is the person applying on behalf of that business actually associated with that business? Because think about it. What if I pretended to be the owner of my competitor and I went and claimed their business secretly under my name? Well, you can't have that. You don't want someone else claiming your business. It's fraud. So what Google does is they try to verify that you are who you say you are. And the way they verify it is one of two ways. Either A, they're going to send a postcard to a mailing address, an actual street mailing address, if Google knows where your business is located. And on that card is a code. So you'll go to a special website, enter that code, and Google says, oh, okay, since they got mail at that address, they must be the owner, let them be the owner. The other way that Google verifies is if they have a phone number on your business, they will immediately call it, and a recorded voice will say, here is your code. And if you enter that code, Google will say, okay, the person who answered the phone at that business that we had a record for, they put in the right code. And so that verifies you as well. Now, this is actually a lot more difficult than you think, because trust me, if you do the postcard method, those postcards get lost all the time. Those postcards look like junk mail. People throw them away. And if you're not the person going through the mail, then you're probably going to miss it. Second, that phone call, many times the phone call will go to your front desk. And the person at the front desk won't know what the recording is talking about, probably think it is spam or a scam, and hang up. So let me give you the 411 on the best way to do it. You see, there is one group of people that Google does trust to determine if a business is legit or not. And that is, believe it or not, your SBDC, your Small Business Development Center. In this case, the New Mexico Small Business Development Center. What you're going to do is you're going to call up one of those counselors and get an appointment. Even if you think you don't need any advice to run your company, you're going to get an appointment for this. Because you see, these SBDC people have a special app on their phone. Okay. And what this app does is it allows them to immediately verify the information in Google. So you don't have to wait for the postcard. You don't have to wait for the phone call. They can just click a button and it's done. And from that point on, you have full access. And by the way, one of the advantages of doing this is that when you get access to your account on Google for your business, then you have the ability to reply to reviews that you receive as that business. And that is more important than you realize. And we'll talk about that when we get to reputation management. Do publicize your .com. Folks, you got to get your web address out there. You got to get it out there. So many of you have a very, very traditional marketing budget. You know, we're going to put this much in TV, this much in radio, this much in newspaper. Oh my gosh. This much in billboards. And maybe a few dollars for the website. No. In this day and age, especially with the pandemic, especially when your brick and mortar may be closed or people aren't comfortable enough to go out yet, you need to make sure that you're putting the majority of your marketing budget online. The majority of your online budget in online ads, the majority of your online budget in upping your website game, in content marketing, everything. And I'm not saying that because I'm trying to get money from you, because I'm not doing this. I'm teaching you about it. It's not that those other forms of advertising are going away. It's that they're not as important anymore as they used to be. The number one way people will find you online is by searching. Okay. So a good example, business cards. Make sure your .com is on your business cards, every one of them. And in fact, what I would recommend is that maybe even on the back of your business card, you give them an incentive to go to the website. You know, like, let's say you're a realtor. Okay. And so on the back of that business card, it might say, download our most popular report, 10 mistakes you can't afford to make when choosing a realtor, or 10 ways to increase the value of your house 10% in 10 days or something. We've talked about that. Add something to it. Push people to your website, because keep in mind, listen up, your website is the lowest cost for new customer acquisition. Did you hear me? Your website is the cheapest way to acquire a new customer, because it doesn't require giving them anything promotional like a t-shirt at a conference. It doesn't require sending postcards with postage on them. No, it's your website. And when they go to your website, it doesn't cost you any more than simply your monthly hosting. That's it. Signage. You'd be surprised how many businesses do not put their web address on their outdoor signage. In other words, on all the signs that they have around their brick and mortar location, you can't find their .com. People look at signs, okay? And if your .com is not on there, you're missing a lot of opportunities for people to find you. You're just basically forcing them to go to Google and search for you. And hopefully your competitor doesn't come up. TV. Now, if you're going to be using TV, we can't use it in the traditional way, okay? In other words, I don't want you taking any TV commercials that you had made for you and then simply uploading them to YouTube. Don't ever do that. No one's going to watch that. What I'm talking about is incorporate your .com into your TV commercials. Give them a reason, because keep in mind, people watch TV with two screens now. The screen on their TV in front of them and the screen on their phone. You know this is true. You sit on that couch watching TV with your phone in your hand. And when it goes to commercial, many times you are just simply watching something else. So give them a reason to go somewhere online in your TV commercial. Once again, you can incentivize it. Push the website, say, you know, hit our website, the next 10 people will get blah, 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 blah. Okay. Promotional items. Now, this will cost you a little bit something, but make sure that you put your web address on promotional items like a t-shirt. If you're going to have t-shirts made for a sports team or hats or whatever, make sure that your web address is on all of them, because anyone who wears a t-shirt is a walking billboard for your company. And I'll be honest, I've seen people with my t-shirts walking around with my web address on them, and it's kind of cool. But, well, there's a whole thing to picking a t-shirt that people will actually wear. But the point is, put your .com. Anywhere you have your company name is where you need to have your .com listed. That's the easiest way to remember it. Anywhere your company name is listed, you need to make sure that your web address is also on there, or maybe even your email address. So if it's outside on the sign, put it there. If it's on a t-shirt, put it there. Pamphlet, put it there. Do get a good logo. If you're just starting out as a business, you may not even have a logo. You may just have a business name. You've got to realize what the purpose of a logo is. I tell people this all the time. A logo is simply a symbolic representation of your company. In other words, it's something that when you look at the logo, you know what company that is. It's a picture of something. And it's meant that even if you can't read words from a long distance away, you recognize the logo and associate it with that company. I mean, look at the ones I have here. I mean, you can probably guess them, you know, AT&T, Apple, Pepsi, McDonald's. I mean, these are all wonderful logos. Now, keep in mind, the key to a good logo is keeping it simple. These are all very simple logos. Some of you have the most complex piece of art photos for logos that are awful, okay? Don't ever have a very complicated, complex logo with lots of colors. I'm not a fan of that, because number one, it costs you a lot to print anywhere or get embroidered. Try to keep it simple, like the Nationals are doing. Also, the more complex it is, the closer you have to be to recognize what it is, okay? Also, make sure that no one is already using it. You can go to Google and you can take a picture of your logo or the logo you want to use. In fact, if someone's made it for you, and just do a search on the picture, and Google will show you all the pictures that are similar to that one. I remember one time I used that little technique and it kind of created a big brouhaha here. I'm in Amarillo, Texas, and the city of Amarillo decided they were going to update their logo. So they hired a marketing firm, and the marketing firm gave them logos. It wasn't me. Marketing firm gave them logos left and right, but the city didn't like them. City of Amarillo did not like any of the logos. All of a sudden, one of the college interns who works at the city submitted a logo, and the city loved it. And the city adopted it, and it became the logo. Now, on Monday morning, when I heard about all of this, because it just happened over the week, that weekend, I was kind of mad, because I was hoping that some of the graphic designers in Amarillo, Texas would have had a shot at it. You know, make it a contest, you know, let everyone turn in their ideas and pick one. But they didn't. And so I was a little angry for my graphic designer friends, because to be honest, I didn't like the logo the city chose. So I did a search on Google with it, because I thought something about that looks familiar. And lo and behold, this little college intern had copied the logo from a Middle Eastern company. And that was our city logo, just added with the word Amarillo on it. So I was angry that not only was the logo something I didn't like, but it was copied. So I posted that Middle Eastern petroleum company's logo and the city logo side by side and posted it on Facebook just because I was mad. Well, guess what? It went viral. It made the news all here in Texas. In fact, if you go to the news, if you go to Google and just search on Amarillo City logo, you'll read the story. So it went crazy. And my point is this: always make sure that your logo is yours and no one is using it. And whoever made you your logo did not copy someone else's. To that end, there is a solution I really like. If you don't have a lot of money as a small business owner, then you might want to consider a site like 99designs.com. 99 Designs it's kind of it is a company that makes logos, basically. And so the way it works is very simple. You go in and you tell it what kind of logo you like. You know, here's our company, here's what we do. Here's the colors I like. You kind of describe your company, you know, and using all sorts of words. And they ask you the right questions. Anyway, what you do after that is they then take your request. They charge you about $300, okay, which is not much when you consider logos. And then they will submit your request to thousands of developers out there. And what these developers do is they compete. And so they immediately start working on logos and submitting them to you. And you start getting all these logos from all these different graphic designers. And you can say, I like this, I don't like that. And you can vote some of them off the island. In fact, you need to, because within 7 days, you will have picked the company and the logo you like. And then the way it works is whatever person won gets the majority of that $300 that you paid. And then you get the logo, it belongs to you 100%. I like it because the reason I like 99 Designs and sites like that is because you're getting the ideas from a bunch of people, not just one graphic designer. And it's only $300. And it works really well. I really like it. Do utilize video. And you know how I feel about video. Video. It is wonderful. And you need to use it. Video, I tell people all the time, everyone on the internet has ADD and they're lazy. Video is the lazy part. Because if you put a blog and a video side by side, people are going to watch the video all day long. They're not going to read the blog, they're going to watch the video. And that's because people are lazy and they would rather watch something than read it. So I'm seeing that a lot of companies who are starting to move into video are doing much better than those who are still relying on just blogs and articles. Okay? Because to be honest, no one has time to read those anymore. They would rather be entertained or educated or informed than have to read it themselves. If you do make a video, host it on YouTube. Do not put it up on your own website or you will kill your website. Host every video you ever make on YouTube. And that's because YouTube can automatically handle 8 million people simultaneously watching your video in HD. Trust me, your website could not do that. It would crash. So I love using YouTube as kind of the repository for all videos. Also, keep in mind that if you're making videos, authenticity is more important than formality. And so I've had a class on this already with you. And if you missed it, go watch it. And that is, don't ever script it. Don't ever write a speech and do it on video. It needs to be real. It needs to be you just talking. You just talking to me like we're sitting across the desk from each other. Don't create an app. Okay, we have a question. Let's see. Do you advertise on your .com to go to YouTube for the videos? Oh, that's a great question. Let me tell you what I do. I like people going to my website to watch my videos, but in all actuality, my videos are not located on my website. They are located on YouTube. And what I did was I embedded them on my website so that if someone is on my website, they can watch the video. But if they watch it, they're actually watching it from YouTube, even though they're on my website. Okay. So do I tell them to go to YouTube? No, I don't tell them to go to YouTube at all. Every video has its own URL, its own address. And so if I want them to watch the video, I'll give them the link directly to that video, or I'll paste that on Facebook, or you see what I'm saying? Don't tell them to go to YouTube and search for you. I paste the link there directly. Now, if you paste a YouTube link and they go to it, then yeah, the whole thing all around it will be YouTube, and YouTube will be trying to get them to watch other videos too and all that. So what I do is I embed, E-M-B-E-D, embed a YouTube video on my website. That way, when they go to it on my website, it's surrounded by all me and not YouTube. So I hope that made sense. But yes, every single video you make should be on YouTube because it's the best place to keep them. Don't create an app. I remember not too long ago, it was very popular for companies to make an app because now everyone's got a phone. Make an app for your company on that phone, and everyone needs an app. Shut up. No one needs an app. Okay. especially a small business person right now. You see, you got to understand what an app is for, okay? No one installs an app on their phone without a reason. In other words, the app must be able to give them something that they couldn't get any other way. Like Uber, good example of Uber. You're going to install the Uber app. Why? Because you actually use the app to reserve a ride. You will actually install the Taco Bell app because you can actually use it to order a meal. But if all your app does is show you a glorified version of your company's website, oh my gosh, what the biggest waste of time, okay? And a waste of money on your part. And to be honest, Google and Apple, the two primary app stores out there, will not allow you to have an app that all it is your website. And keep in mind, why would I download an app of your website to my phone? It's ridiculous. The other way to know whether you need an app or not is not, does the app give you give the user an ability that there's no other way to get that they didn't have on your website? That's one reason. But the other reason you might have an app is because you're giving people access into kind of a networked area, where they can talk with other people or have live access to one of your employees. You have to have a reason to have an app, okay? And it's got to be a reason outside of simply being a mobile version of your website. One of the ways to know whether you need an app is to think, if I did do an app, are people going to use this more than once a week? Are people going to use this app more than once a week? And if they're not, they won't install it or they'll uninstall it. How many apps do you have on your phone that you haven't used in a while? And every once in a while, you go out there and just erase the ones you stopped using. Trust me, if all you're doing,
I do that.
I'm telling you, businesses should stay away from having their own apps. They really should, because, like I said, unless it gives some kind of functionality that they could not have done otherwise. Okay, stay away from that. Do own your local press. Okay, and I don't mean something that makes books. I mean the media. You need to own your local media. And by that, I mean TV, your local TV news station. Let me explain what I mean. There's a little concept I learned a long time ago called the Golden Rolodex. I remember I used to do a whole bunch of TV segments on our local ABC and then our CBS affiliates here in Amarillo. And once a week, I would go in and film, and it would show during the 10 o'clock news. And it was basically a little tech tips kind of a deal, okay? Where I was giving tips to help you use your computer or your phone or website or whatever better. Well, that was all good and fine, and I had a lot of fun with that. But while I was doing that, I had a reporter give me a secret. And this reporter shared with me the Golden Rolodex concept. And this is what the reporter said. He said, Eric, everyone thinks that the reporters always have all this access to experts. Like when a story comes up and they need a local expert to comment on it, that these reporters just know who all the experts are. Well, they don't. A lot of these reporters are young. They don't know anybody. So what they do is they have a Golden Rolodex. And a Golden Rolodex is simply a telephone list. And when certain topics come up, they've discovered that they can call on that person to get commentary. So for me, I was on the technology one from a whole bunch of reporters. And whenever something new would hit, like a new virus would hit, or a new this or that, a new online website that was really cool, everyone was talking about, I would always get calls from multiple TV stations. Why? Because I was on the Golden Rolodex. I was associated as an expert on technology. Here's the thing. You need to be associated as an expert in whatever it is you do. So for instance, if there's going to be talk about taxes, like there's a new income tax law, Well, if you're an accountant, you need to be on the Golden Rolodex, so that news people can call you and get your opinion of the new taxes and how it'll affect consumers. If there's a new fashion trend, then you need to be that hair cutter. You need to be that dress seller. You need to be that expert, is what I'm saying. Now, how do you do it? When they come and interview you the first time, and by the way you get that interview, it's so easy. It's not even funny. Way I did it was I made it a point to go to the news station and meet the local reporters. I took a pizza up there and I just said, hey, I know y'all are always looking for stories, and I just want to know how I can help if I can. And hey, here's a pizza. So tell me what you're looking for. Here's what I do. Here's what y'all do. Enjoy your pizza. And that's how I did it. And then I got their email addresses out of that, of the reporters. And then whenever I saw something cool coming down the pike that I thought they could do a good story on, I would send it to them. And you'd be surprised how many times I got free TV coverage simply because I knew the reporters. You see, if I would have had to pay to get that kind of exposure, it would have been so expensive. All my competitors were having to buy commercials, not me. And the thing about it is, when they brought me on, I was seen as an expert, not as a vendor, not as someone trying to sell you something. And that's the key. I also learned that when you are being recorded, when you are being recorded for a news story on a local station, don't talk about your business. That's their job. They will talk about you and where you're from. Don't turn it into a commercial. They will hate you. Okay. So try to be helpful, try to be yourself. And what happens is people start to see you as an expert. Be proactive. Seek these reporters out. You think I'm kidding on all this? I'm telling you, the best advertising I ever got cost me $0. And it was TV advertising. Do encourage reviews. In other words, people reviewing you. There's a reason I say encourage it. If you don't encourage your customers to review your company online, then the only reviews you will get are negative. Because think about it, the only time you decide to go out and review somebody is not because you love it so much, is because they made a mistake or they were rude or something wrong went down and you're just mad, and it's the only way you feel you can get back at them. If you don't ask for reviews, all you will get are negative. So you need to start asking. The best time to ask for a review is when they're the happiest with your product. And believe it or not, the happiest someone will ever be with your product or service is when they pay for it. At that moment, at the cash wrap, when they're signing the contract, that is the happiest they will ever be. And so that is why I would recommend that you ask them in that moment. But how do you ask? You're not going to go up to them and say, hey, can you all give me a good review? I really need it. No, you're not going to do that. You're going to say something like this. And maybe if you have a store, you have a little system set up over there, a little laptop or a little computer, and it's already set on your Google business page. And so they're checking out with you and you go, you know what? We always value what our customers think of how we did. So if you don't mind, if you'll take 5 minutes over there and just maybe write down a few thoughts about how you felt this all went, I really appreciate it. You'd be surprised how many people are more than happy to do that. And what will end up happening is you'll probably be getting 5 or 6 reviews a day, and it will just grow and grow. And that's how good companies get reviews, is they have to ask for them. You also need to know how to handle bad reviews. Now, listen up closely, because I have a whole talk just on reviews. But here's the secret to handling a bad review. Remember, I told you earlier that you're going to claim your business through Google. When you do that, you have the ability to represent your company in any kind of review. So if someone goes on your company's Google site and reviews you, and let's say it's terrible, okay? Oh, these people were so rude. I would use anybody but them. We've all gotten those reviews. Now, in your mind, you're wondering, is that legit? Or is that one of my competitors just trying to make me look bad? Here's how you find out. Because reviews are pretty anonymous, and there's really no way to know exactly who left it. But the way you can figure it out is this. That, let's say on social media, you get someone who writes on one of your posts real negatively, and you don't know if they're a troll, or legit. And they say they had a bad experience with your company. Here's what you do. You reply back in public and you say, hey, I am so sorry that you had that experience. It is never our goal. I want to make sure that every customer has the best experience. So DM me, direct message me, or call me at this number, and let's see what I can do to help make this better. So that's your public post. That's what you post. Because your number one goal in doing that is to stop a flame war, is to stop any back and forth. You don't want to argue in public, ever. Goal number one, get it out of the public eye. I'm not saying delete it. Don't you ever just delete a negative post. But we've got to verify if they're legit or not. So you reply back saying exactly what I said. Hey, I want to fix this. Call me at this number. Let's figure this out. Then as soon as you post that, you're going to go and DM that person. You're going to direct message them on Facebook or whatever platform you're on privately and say, hey, this is me. I just posted. What can I do for you? My point is this. You've got to get that angry person to stop posting publicly about their anger. Okay. So take it, I call it taking it offline. Okay. Take them offline as quickly as possible. Now, if they ignore you and don't do that, and they just keep posting publicly how awful you are, then you can delete them, because then they're just being a troll. They're not legit. They don't really want help. They don't want resolution. They just want to yell. So that's my test. Try to get them offline and deal with it. But if they keep going online and trying to trash you, drop them, block them, get rid of them. And I would still leave the original post. I really would, where you answer back, where they say they had a problem and you answered back the way you did, because it shows that you are wanting to take care of it. And so the way that works in the Google review system, you'll do the same thing. You will reply as owner, and once again, say, I'm sorry you had this experience. Reach out to me. Let's get this fixed. No one expects everyone to have a 5-star perfect review, list that no company has 5 stars. It's impossible. You ever see that? It means they're probably getting rid of their bad reviews. They do assume that there will be some negative reviews. So if they don't see a negative review, they're going to question your honesty. So I always like to leave the bad reviews, but I make sure it also has my response to it, so they know that I'm paying attention and that I care about my customers having a good experience. Don't pay for reputation management. Whatever you do, do not pay for reputation management. It is a scam. Okay. Now, your reputation does matter. It really does. And you gotta protect it as much as you can. And I know a lot of people have come up to me and said, Eric, I do a search on myself or my company and this comes up and it's something negative. And you know what I tell them? I said the reason bad stuff comes up is because there's not enough good stuff. And if you want to know what those reputation management people are doing, many times what they will do is simply create a bunch of garbage, positive stuff about your company, hoping that it will bury the bad stuff. Because you really can't get rid of bad reviews. Did you hear me? You can't get rid of them. Don't let anyone tell you that they can get rid of bad information on the internet. Number one, they don't have that kind of control. They can't control someone else's website. I mean, if you have a picture of you in jail back from 1962, there's no way a reputation management company can go back and get rid of that. All they can do is bury it in better stuff, in good stuff. So that's one of the reasons I say that. Monitor it yourself. You don't need someone to monitor it and search to see if someone's talking bad about you. It's easy to tell if someone's talking bad about you. And here's the secret. You need to do a search on Google and put your company name or your name, you as a person, but then you need to add another word to that. And the word you're going to add is sucks. Now you think I'm kidding, I'm not. The word sucks, S-U-C-K-S. The reason I'm saying that is not to be funny. The reason I'm saying that is because scientifically, that is the number one word added to a company name or person's name in a negative post. If you want to pull all the negative reviews and negative posts to the top, that's an easy way to do it. Okay? But monitor it yourself. I even tell people use Google Alerts. It's a great way to do it. In Google Alerts, which is totally free, you basically go to Google and say, hey, if anyone mentions this word or this person, send me an email and let me know. And it will. It's really cool. I use it to keep track of what people think about my company. I use it to even to spy on my competitors a little bit. Legally, of course. If they ever come out with something new or make a change, I get notified. It's called Google Alerts, totally free. Just Google it and you'll find it. I use it all the time. And of course, Google yourself, like I talked about earlier. Do verify that you have a mobile experience. There's a lot of websites out there that are very, 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 very old. And when they were built, there really wasn't a mobile website, or people really weren't looking at websites on their phones. And so when you pulled up their website, their old website on your phone, you were finding that you were having to do this to zoom in, maybe even this to go left and right to read all the paragraph. That is not a mobile experience. So you need to make sure that your website looks good on a mobile phone. In other words, can it be read without zooming? Can all the words on your website be read without zooming in and zooming out? And do you have to scroll left and right? We call that horizontal scrolling. Not a good look. You'll also, when you do this, you're going to discover a lot of people will try to sell you a mobile experience, okay? And when they do, you don't want a mobile website. If you discover that your website is not mobile friendly, then you need to ask for something very specific. You need to ask for a responsive website. Now, there's two different types. I remember back in the day when cell phones were just kind of coming out and you could start looking at websites on them. The way that they created a website that looked good on a cell phone back then was to actually create a separate website. You had the computer version of the website to be looked at on a large screen. And then you had a version of the website to be looked at on a mobile phone or a tablet. You actually had two websites. And if you made changes to the website, you had to make it in both places. That's called a mobile-friendly website. You don't want that. You want a responsive website. A responsive website means that you have one website, but it's designed in a way that it knows how it's being looked at. So if it knows it's on a cell phone, the website actually rearranges itself, increases the font size, squeezes it together to make it look good automatically. It responds. You follow me? That's why we call it responsive. The website automatically readjusts to look mobile. And that way you're only having to change things once. And yet people are getting a great experience. So now some of y'all are probably saying, well, Eric, how do I know if my website looks good mobile? Well, you could just pull it up on your phone. But if you really want to test, and this is also a tip I give people, if Google is just not showing you at all for whatever reason, you think Google hates you and you don't know why, believe it or not, if you don't have a responsive or a mobile-friendly website, you ain't ever going to rank, because Google knows that the majority of people looking up companies are using their phone, not a computer, not a PC, not a laptop. They're using their phone. Here's how you check. go to Google and you need to do a search on mobile friendly test or mobile phone test. Okay. Or I would say mobile friendly test. Okay. The one you need to choose is probably the first one that comes up other than an ad. Don't do the ads, but it'll be Google's mobile friendly test and you'll see it. It'll be obvious. Okay. Do that. It costs you nothing. And what Google will do is you put in your web address and Google will go in and look at it. And if you have any mistakes on your website, it'll tell you what they are. It's really cool. And if Google doesn't like you, it'll tell you it doesn't like you. I love it. And it's called the mobile friendly test. Just do a search on Google for it. I love it. Do use email marketing. I'm a huge fan. If you're going to be sending email to people, do not send spam. Do not send just glorified commercials. You are going to offer content. Now remember, the only reason people will open up any quote newsletter you send to them is if they feel they're going to get something in it that will either educate them or entertain them. That's it. The only reason they will keep opening your newsletters is if they feel they will either be educated or entertained. If all you're going to do is advertise to these people, you may as well give up now. Because ain't no one want to get that email. They don't. No one wants to be advertised to. What I do with my newsletters, it's about 80-20, 80% content, 20% advertising. And you will, and that seems to work well. You'll know that your advertising percentage is too high if people start unsubscribing from your newsletters. Okay. So that's how you can kind of measure. Also, don't ever buy an email list. Don't ever buy an email list of email addresses. You got to earn these one at a time. Someone has to give you their email address. Buying email list is illegal. And no, I'm not. I'm using the capital I on that. Illegal. And that's because if you send a commercial email, an advertising email to someone, and they did not give you their email address for which to do that, and they can prove it, then you can get fined $10,000 per email. $10,000. That's per the CAN-SPAM Act of 1992, I believe. Okay. So it is illegal to buy addresses. Get them one at a time. And the only reason people are going to give you their addresses is if they feel they're going to get something in return of value to them. I also tell people, make sure to use the right tool if you're going to be doing this. Okay. And what I mean by the right tool is you never want to send a huge amount of email through like Gmail or something. Always use a program like MailChimp or Constant Contact because it's more likely to get through. How do you get their email addresses? Dylan just asked. There's a lot of ways. If you're at a conference, you have a fishbowl, and and they get the luggage tag, you get their business card with their email. You offer them something. Instead of saying, join my newsletter, no one wants to join a newsletter, okay? Have them join a community. If you're a retailer, let's call it a VIP discount club or something, where the best discounts go to this group. Wouldn't you like the best discount? Yes. In other words, what do they get out of it? What are they going to get out of your newsletter? There has to be something they get out of it or they won't sign up. If you're good at coming up with good content, like on how to use your products, if your product can be used for a lot of different things, or maybe you're an art person, you can send them tips on either how to do the art or take care of it or make it better, or you follow me? There's so many different ways, but the person that you want to open the email must really feel that they're going to get something out of that newsletter without having to buy a thing. Good question, Dylan. You've got to make it to where it's in their best interest. Don't use QR codes. I'm not a fan of these things at all. Okay. Back in the day, everyone had a QR code. Everyone was posting them. They were on billboards. They were on bumper stickers. They were everywhere. And it was a waste of time because it required too much work. All a QR code is a graphical representation of like a web address. It saves someone having to type it in. And so the thought was someone would use their phone, scan the QR code, it will turn it in there and then to an address and take them to a website or a landing page or something. Problem is it never worked. And that's because it required too much work on the part of the person being advertised to. It just doesn't work, okay? It just doesn't work. Because like I said, it requires too much work. However, there are companies out there that are making use of them, but it actually brings a benefit to the user. So in the case of Walmart, many times you can use the codes that they use. And for instance, I can use their app. And if the price is not on a product, I can scan the product UPC code and Walmart will tell me the price. So I don't have to go ask someone, how much does this cost? It doesn't have a price tag. I can also use QR codes to add groceries, like with the pandemic and everything. I can go scan my groceries in the fridge, and that's how Walmart can easily order more for me if I want. You see what I'm saying? In other words, UPC codes, barcodes, and QR codes are pretty worthless, mainly because they require too much work. So unless I get a value out of it, I'm not going to do it. Don't advertise with QR codes. Don't fall for SEO scams, search engine optimization. We talked about this last time a little bit. No one can guarantee you first on Google, okay? No one can guarantee you organic, natural, what Google thinks of you, because no one knows the actual algorithm. Learn how to do it yourself. You know, either watch the session I already did or go watch one of my videos back on my website, but you've got to learn how to rank well yourself. Because there's a lot of companies out there who are saying, hey, for $50, I'll get you, guarantee you #1 on Google. No, they aren't. They'll just buy an ad and claim you're #1 and then keep half of it. It's a waste of money. Okay, any questions on anything we have gone over?
What about doing a little pop-up on your website to get email addresses? I know you have an opinion about this, and I've heard it before, but I just think to try to get more email addresses.
My opinion is tempered a little bit on this. I used to be totally against it. But if you can make a promise, if you can make a promise to people what they're going to get with that, where they see value, I don't mind a pop-up, as long as they have the ability to cancel, you know, and you don't just keep bothering them with it. But it is you will get a lot of email addresses that way. Like, let's say you have a page where you have a blog or a page where you have a video on your website where they're watching it. Say, hey, want to see more? Get on, join our list, join our whatever, and we'll send you some more. So if they like what they see, they'll sign up. But they're not going to sign up simply because you said, do you want our newsletter? Please don't call it a newsletter, okay? Because the word newsletter has no value whatsoever. Other questions?
I do not see any other questions. This is the last call for questions. I do want to tell everyone that we have a whole series of webinars. We are going to be seeing Eric again. Please get on our YouTube channel. Should I say it like that? I don't know.
Yes. Or
Get
you can
on it.
go to nmsbdc.org and we have links there. So.
Yes, because everything that he talks about kind of it all kind of snowballs together and stuff, and it's great. And there is a question coming up.
Okay,
Eric,
here's a question. What do I do for a living? I teach. I used to have a company where I built websites and all that, but I am now being asked to teach so much that's pretty much what I do. And so I speak and I teach. So
more questions.
What do you call a newsletter if not a newsletter? It's a community. Think of it as a group, like a VIP list. Restaurants call them birthday clubs. Yeah, restaurants. You think it's a club, and a club is a newsletter. Restaurants call them birthday clubs. You got to put it in a way that they feel they're getting value out of it. So either they're going to get discounts They're going to get something free. They're going to receive some sort of value. It's also, you could say it's like a VIP thing, like only certain people get this, make it exclusive. People will join an exclusive club, but they do not want to subscribe to a newsletter. Other ways to develop an email list. Like I said, there is no fast way to get a whole bunch. Conferences seem to be the fastest way to get emails. A restaurant could use the birthday club, and you should be able to get, I swear, hundreds of emails a week off of that. But really, it's just kind of you have to think through, what do people like about your product and service, and how can you tie that value to an offering where they get information about it. Okay. So just don't call it a newsletter. Don't call it a newsletter. Don't call it a newsletter. If you don't know what to call it, go on some of these national sites for companies and see what they call it. They really, and you in your industry, I think you'll be surprised they don't call it a newsletter.
You could call it not a newsletter.
Right. It's not a newsletter.
It's not a newsletter.
Right.
Awesome. Well, that was the last call for questions. Again, visit nmsbdc.org to request no-cost business counseling and loan application assistance. And Eric, I can't wait to see you again. It's going to be a little bit, but we have all kinds of webinars coming up. So thanks, everybody. You guys have a great rest of your day.
I look forward to it. See y'all later.